way to leave all this nutty craziness behind.
To get to the trailhead from where I'm coming from, I have to drive through Idaho to Montana to get back to Idaho.
Welcome to Idaho. Welcome to Montana. Welcome to Idaho.
This is the turn to Forest Road 569, Parachute Hill Road, that I'm going to take to connect up to the Lolo Motorway. Before that, I'm going to get some gas. There's a single pump Sinclair station at Locksaw Lodge. Pretty awesome there's a gas station here because there's nothing for miles in either direction. I'm going to show the whole drive into the gas pump because this place is cool. It's kind of like an oasis in the middle of the mountains.
Turn right onto Powell Road, then turn right onto US 12 East.
So it's like an hour and 48 minutes to go 27 miles from here. It actually took over 2.5 hours. The roads are extremely slow.
Turn left onto Forest Road 569. Continue on Forest Road 569 for 6 miles.
Forest Road 569 isn't too horrible a road, it's just narrow and steep. Alright, this is Powell Junction, where you meet up with the Lolo Motorway, Forest Road 500.
Continue on Lolo Motorway for 13 miles.
Alright, next is Idamatnu Lake-Clearwater. I probably butchered it, but it's translated to Grizzly Bear Pass. This area is extremely significant in American history. This is where Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery crossed the Bitterroot Mountains in September of 1805. They were helped by a Shoshone guide they called Old Toby. They were trying to get across the mountains before winter set in to get to the Nez Perce. They were following the Lolo Trail, otherwise known as the Nez Perce Trail, that the Nez Perce had been using for centuries to get to the Bitterroot Valley and trade with the other tribes. The Lolo Motorway follows the same ridgeline that they took. When they returned in July 1806, they took this same section, but I'm heading west, they were headed east. This area most resembles what they would have saw more than any other part of the Lewis and Clark Trail.
Headed up here. Trailhead somewhere on that peak.
The Lolo Motorway is rough, slow, and narrow, with a lot of rocks, like baseball, softball size, so you can't even get more than 5 miles an hour most of the time.
In 3/4 of a mile, turn right onto Forest Road 581. Right onto Forest Road 581.
When you turn on the Forest Road 581, the road gets rougher and slower. This is by far the worst section of road on the whole drive.
We're crossing Cayuse Creek. Cayuse Creek. Cayuse Lake from the other side down below. Cayuse Creek running by. You can see the Lolo Motorway going by. In 600 feet, turn right onto Forest Road 581D.
right onto Forest Road 581D.
This last half mile to the trailhead is some of the worst road I've ever driven, and I'll probably never drive it again. It's probably best just to park at the bottom unless you're really confident.
Continue on Forest Road 581D for half a mile.
Well, somehow made it to the trailhead here. You keep driving up the road if you want, but I don't think it's a very good idea. 3.5 miles this way to Goat Lake. There's pretty amazing views on this ridge. You can see the whole Bitterroot crest. All as far as you can see. Alright, well, I'm here in the Bitterroot Mountains, just north of the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness, in the southern part of what's called the Great Burn, which is a proposed wilderness, and it's a big roadless area. I'm going to head off that way 3.5 miles to a lake called Goat Lake. Right now I got to hike a little bit more road because I think this is where it says the trailhead is on the map, but I'm done driving this kind of road because this road is insane. So parked it here, got to hike up to where this road ends, and then there will be a single track trail heading down, and then maintaining like the same elevation most of the way to that lake, Goat Lake. I'm overpacked as usual because I want to have fun. I brought my raft. I brought a few beers. Not going to do a whole lot of miles on backpacking, but I am going to try to do some day hikes from the lake to cover more distance. But getting in the lake is the goal of the day. It's a fairly hot day, so here I go.
This is what the road looked like that half mile to the trailhead. It's pretty bad.
Quite the view.
It is possible to do a loop hike if you don't mind off trail. Just follow the ridge line to the north side of the lake and then drop down and then hike back out 508.
Must be the junction. Trail going down the Kelly Creek, I believe. And this is the one going down the Goat Lake.
My way to stay cool on a hot day is to wet my full brim hat and put a piece of wet cloth inside of it so that it stays wet longer. And it works. And if you combine that with a wet wrap around your neck, you won't sweat at all.
Guessing this is part of mining. There's said on the map there was a mine in this area at one point. So it kind of looks like tailing piles here. Alright, I made it to the junction. This trail goes all the way down to Cayuse Creek. There's even a sign on it. Let's go see what it says. This way you go to Goat Lake. Yeah, here it is. Trail 248. Yeah, Silver Creek Trail 248. Here at the junction there's another sign. Blacklead Trailhead, 1.5 miles. Goat Lake, 1.5 miles. So this is the exact middle point of the hike. Good break spot here. There's a little bit of water over here. This crossing's kind of crappy. We're definitely on trail when you see cut logs. Little blowdown section.
At about a quarter of a mile away from the lake, something caught my attention on the other side of the drainage. At first, I thought it might have been somebody's campfire, but the longer I looked at it, I realized it most likely was a lightning strike brush fire. I stood here a while, deciding what I was going to do, and determined that since it had rained so much that day, everything was wet. It appeared that this fire was dying off. It was just going to smolder out. There was no wind. It looked kind of cloudy, like it was about to rain again. So I was just going to get to camp at the lake and set up camp and then come back and check on it to see if it's grown. Lightning and fires are a natural part of the forest. And this being so remote, if this would have started in a bigger fire, the Forest Service probably wouldn't have even done anything and just let it play its course.
Go Lake. Elevation 6,452 feet. Well, here's the outlet of Goat Lake. This is where the trail continues on.
I went back to see if the lightning strike fire had grown at all, and it had pretty much died. There was no smoke. So I felt okay, and I started my own fire. There was a moose in the lake most of the night, and it ran out of the lake before I could get out of my tent and take a picture of it.
Well, morning. This is day 2 of this adventure. I'm about to do a day hike over to Williams Peak over there. The trail kind of skirts around here, does a little U, and then ends up just below Williams Peak right there. And then there's Williams Lake and a couple other lakes there too, little ponds. So I'm gonna day hike over there and check it out, and then come back here and maybe pump up the raft and float around. Trail has all but disappeared. I seem to have found the trail again. It disappeared on me for a bit. This is looking more like a trail again. off-trail adventure. Started following the game trail to this little pass. See what kind of view there is. Pretty defined trail right here. Well, it's for sure a game trail of some sort. Looks like mostly moose tracks. But seeing as how that's right there and it doesn't look terrible, I think I'm going to climb the top of that and see what the view is from up there.
Rhodes Peak is the highest peak inside the proposed Great Burn Wilderness.
All right, I'm gonna pull an audible. Came up to this little pass and saw the view of this other ridgeline over here. So I'm gonna try to get the full view of it by just hiking over to this other little low point over here, and I should be able to see those cliffs a lot better. So I might skip going to the Williams Lake around William Peak. Who knows? But see how I feel after I get over there. So my goal is right there in the middle, a kind of low grassy spot behind those trees. So I just got to cut across.
from here, I decided just to walk around the ridgeline and get better views and move back to the lake. This is where I ended up walking.
Had to have been a camp spot at some time. Pretty awesome flat area with views of everything. Holy shit. Pretty dang good game trail. Back to Goat Lake. Found another camp spot. It's hidden away. It's right by the outlet on the north side of the lake. It's really flat. Lots of shelter. Here's the official inlet. Somebody has camped here. Had a fire.
Time to air up the raft. I like to use this little kids raft because it's fairly light and cheap. 15 bucks, so if it pops or gets wrecked, I don't care.
Dumbass me popped the raft first chance, but see if we can MacGyver it. Well, the patch held. It's holding there, so let's see how it does in water. It's holding there. Well, the patch held across the whole entire lake. Time to leave. It's been great. Nobody around. All to myself. It's time to go. Well, this is where that spot fire when I was first hiking in was. It's no longer smoking or nothing, so just smoldered out. Nice huckleberries for breakfast. I'm parked right at the end of that little ridge, right where that little grassy part is, at the end of that ridge. So that's where I'm heading. Halfway there. 1.5 back to trailhead. Apparently I just missed this when I don't know, it's obviously a mine. I think that's it. Alright, just gotta climb this hill here and then follow this ridge line all the way down to the end where I'm parked. Oh, made it back to the truck. Hopefully all the tires are inflated and it starts.
From the trailhead, it's 18 miles to Cayuse Landing. From there, you can get to Kelly Creek and end up at Pierce, Idaho or Superior, Montana. But I guarantee you the road is extremely rough. I know the last 7 miles between Cayuse Landing and Kelly Creek are really bad.
Stopped here to check out the trailhead. You can hike to Goat Lake from here. I think it would add 2 more miles. So it'd be like a 5.5 mile, 5.5 to 6 mile hike from here to get to Goat Lake. Then you wouldn't have to do this 2 horrible sections of road, 581 and then the other one to the other trailhead. So it would save some driving. It'd still be a lot of driving on the Lolo Motorway, but if this trail goes all the way through, it's probably be the way to do it. I was looking back up the whole drainage where I was. There's Williams Peak.